Y'all want my predictions for the 2019 Oscars? Let's go!
I came to vibe, you came to function, just do that, baby. Don't worry about nothing, no. I came to vibe, you came to function, just do that, baby. Don't worry about nothing, no.
What's good, y'all? It's your boy Bright here, the R&B Kid. I'm back again with another video. But if this is your first time on my channel, please go ahead and consider subscribing, because on this channel I talk all things music and entertainment while keeping it real. Always trying to find the bright side of everything, alright? And after you hit that subscribe button, make sure you hit the bell next to it so you can get the post notifications. So every time I post a new video, you're gonna see it. Alright, y'all, so like I said, in this video I'm going to be breaking down my predictions for the 2019 Oscars. The 91st Academy Awards will be going down tomorrow on February 24th, 2019. So before they happen, I actually wanted to get out my predictions for the ceremony tomorrow. If you haven't already, you can watch my last video where I did my predictions for the Oscar nominations, like a few days before they came out. So you can go check out that video if you haven't already. But like I said, for this video I want to break down not only my thoughts on the nominations, but also my thoughts on the snubs and surprises, and also my picks and predictions for the winners come tomorrow. So you ready to get into it? Let's do it. Alright, y'all, first we're going to start off with Best Picture. So for this year, the nominees are Black Panther, Black Klansman, Bohemian Rhapsody, The Favorite, Green Book, Roma, A Star is Born, and Vice. In my opinion, I think this year's Best Picture lineup is probably one of the weakest I've ever seen in recent Oscar history and in recent Oscar memory. Mainly with the inclusion of Vice and Bohemian Rhapsody. I'm not mad that those two films are in here, but I'm kind of mad that they took the place of what I feel are definitely more worthy films of being in this category, including If Beale Street Could Talk, 8th Grade, and A Quiet Place. I'm especially upset that If Beale Street Could Talk did not make it, because I thought that was going to be a shoo-in for Best Picture. I know it kind of had a lot of, it didn't really, its buzz kind of died out as the award season went on, but I still think it's one of the most beautiful films that came out in 2018, and definitely one of the best made films of the year, so I'm kind of mad it didn't make it in the end. And even though 8th Grade was a very quiet film all year, I'm not surprised it didn't make it, but I was rooting for it. I was hoping 8th Grade would make it into Best Picture, because I think it's a worthy nomination, and I definitely think those two films are better than Vice and Bohemian Rhapsody. So it is what it is. So yeah, my snubs were those films in this category: If Beale Street Could Talk, 8th Grade, and A Quiet Place. Those are my snubs in this category. No surprises in this category. Like I said, it's a very dry category. And my pick for the win in Best Picture right now, a day before, I'm still sticking with my prediction of Roma, like I did in my last video. Even though Roma has some important things against it, like we said, like the fact that it's a black and white film, the fact that it's a foreign language film, the fact that it's on Netflix, and the fact that it doesn't really have a lot of it's not really a front runner in a lot of key categories that a lot of Best Picture winners usually win in, like editing, acting, a screenplay. You know, it's not really a front runner in any of those categories, but I still just have this feeling that Roma is going to make it in the end. I just feel like it has a lot of love across the board from a lot of different people. I think it's literally one of the most beautiful and one of the most well-made films in the bunch in this of 2018. So I think it'll definitely make it. That's my pick for the win. So if Roma were to not take Best Picture, I think there are 3 films that are definitely in contention for being dark horses to take it in the end. The first up is Green Book for me. I think Green Book could definitely take Best Picture because it really is a crowd pleaser at the end of the day, which helps it. It's a crowd pleaser, and it's had so much goodwill throughout award season. It pretty much won the Golden Globe for Best Comedy Musical Film at the Golden Globes, and Marshall has been killing it all award season. Like it's been a pretty good crowd pleaser, but unfortunately I wouldn't want it to win. As much as I loved it, I wouldn't want it to win because I think it will be a really weird film and kind of a problematic film to win. In 2019, I think it would be really sad if somewhat of a reductive film on race relations in 20th century America were to win. Green Book, I think, did a great job of really exploring the personalities and the story, the friendship between Dawn Shirley and Tony Vallelonga in particular. I think the film did a great job of doing that, but I think the film was somewhat subpar in the way it was actually able to analyze not only like the real and realistic racial tensions in America in the 60s or whatever, you know, whatever the time it was based on. I think it was the 60s. But it also, I think it did a poor job of really focusing the movie more on Tony Vallelonga's character arc and not focusing enough on Don Shirley's own character arc. And even though I think Mahershala Ali delivered the better performance in the movie, I don't think he had as much to work with in terms of the way his character was developed and portrayed on screen compared to Tony Vallelonga. So I think in that way it would be kind of a reductive win, but I could definitely see it taking it to the end. The other dark horse I think this year could be BlacKkKlansman, which I would love to see. I love BlacKkKlansman. I think it's definitely one of the best films of last year. And I can easily see a scenario where if for some crazy reason Spike Lee were to take Best Director, and as we all know, BlacKkKlansman is definitely a frontrunner for Best Adapted Screenplay, with it getting a director win and an adapted screenplay win, I could somehow see that coalescing into a Best Picture win. I don't think it'll happen, especially because I don't think Spike Lee will take Best Director. But even if Spike Lee doesn't take Director, I could still see a scenario where BlacKkKlansman just kind of comes out of nowhere and just takes Best Picture. So I definitely think that's another dark horse to look out for this year. Another thing about BlacKkKlansman, it'll be pretty much damn near impossible. I think not impossible. I think it's gonna have a hard time winning in almost all of its below the line categories like score and editing. As much as I'm rooting for the movie in those categories, I think the only thing I don't think it's gonna win anything below the line. And I think above the line, the only thing it'll win is Best Adapted Screenplay. So I think that'll make it hard to win Best Picture, but I definitely think it can do it. So let me know what y'all think. I think the other last dark horse for this year is The Favorite. Even though The Favorite wasn't, pun intended, it wasn't really my favorite in particular. I didn't love that movie that much. I think the performances were amazing, but I didn't really love the vibe and the tone of the movie. It wasn't really my cup of tea, but like I said, I love the acting in that movie. But I think The Favorite definitely has a shot at Best Picture. I definitely think it's a dark horse. It pretty much has every nomination that it needs compared to a lot of other movies this year. And as well, it's the most nominated film this year along with Roma. So I think that is pointing to a good sign of it being a Best Picture winner if Roma did not win. But I personally, like I said, I wouldn't want it to win because it wasn't my favorite movie of the year. And I also don't think it's I also don't think it'll be the best movie to win in a year like this, where I feel like you have a lot of interesting movies. And I just feel like The Favorite is somewhat, it's a really forward-thinking and it's a really like adventurous movie, and it's a different type of period piece movie. But I just personally don't feel like it will be a great Best Picture winner. That's me personally, but let me know what y'all think. Okay, so two movies that I think have a shot, but I don't think it'll happen at all. That's Black Panther and A Star Is Born. Black Panther, to me, it's snubbed in way too many above the line and below the line categories in terms of nominations and also chances to win in the categories that actually is nominated in. So I think it's snubbed. It was snubbed way too much this year to actually pull out a Best Picture win. But and the reviews have been too mixed. But personally, as someone who loved the film, not just because I'm black, but I actually really did like the film. I think it'll be a really dope win. But I don't think it'll happen. But I would love to see that. But I don't think Black Panther is definitely gonna win Best Picture. But I would love to see it. And A Star Is Born, while I think that would be a cool win as well, I definitely don't think it's happening because A Star Is Born has had a really tough time really, gaining a lot of wins this season. It's been really slow for A Star Is Born all award season. And it's like the fourth remake of the film. So I don't think it's gonna win Best Picture, but I could definitely see a scenario where it happens, but I doubt it will. Okay, now we're on to Best Director. So in Best Director, the surprise for me was obviously Paul Walowski. I didn't have him in my running at all. I think he really came out of nowhere to get a nomination for Best Director, but shout out to him. He was definitely surprised. In terms of snubs, Bradley Cooper was definitely snubbed for Best Director. I guess I can kind of see the scenario where, again, they didn't want to give the heartthrob actor his props on his first time acting, just like with Ben Affleck. But I think it's sad because I think Bradley Cooper really did an amazing job directing A Star Is Born, and I think as his first time directing, I think he did an amazing job. So I'm sad he didn't get that recognition. But I see a pattern where they have a hard time kind of giving props to actors turned directors. So I think Bradley Cooper will have his time and whenever he's directing in his future projects. But for now, they snubbed him. But I think that was a really bad snub. Snubs I don't think were as bad, but I would have loved to have seen them. Barry Jenkins and Ryan Coogler. I really think, especially Barry Jenkins in particular, I think his directing work in If Beale Street Could Talk was beautiful. So I think he should have got recognition. But I'm not surprised he didn't. And Ryan Coogler, while he did direct a really big budget Marvel film, at the end of the day, Black Panther was a moment in 2018, and that movie did not direct itself. So while I'm not surprised Ryan Coogler didn't get the nomination, especially because he didn't really have a lot of fanfare in terms of, you know, all the precursor awards, it would have really been nice. It would have been nice to see him to kind of just sneak in and have a Best Director nomination. But it's okay. Ryan Coogler, hopefully in your future projects you will be recognized. But I think I would have really loved to have seen him. But in terms of my winners for tomorrow night, I think this is a done deal. I think we all know, and deservedly so, that Alfonso Cuarón will be taking this Oscar. If anybody were to upset him, the only person I think could do it, and I would love to see it again, is Spike Lee, but I don't think it will happen. Alfonso has been killing it all season, and his movie was directed too beautifully and too well to lose at this point. And I would be happy with Alfonso winning because Roma was directed beautifully, and you know, the direction really is what I think really propelled that movie to how great it is. But obviously I'm rooting for Spike Lee because he's never had a Best Director win, and he's really been snubbed a lot by the Oscars. But he'll hopefully win the Best Adapted Screenplay. But I would really love to see him get a director win, but it's not going to happen this year. This is Alfonso's to lose. But if Spike won, I would not be upset at all. Okay, now we're on to Best Actor. So in Best Actor, I'm not gonna say this is so much of a surprise because I know he was definitely on the bubble, but I'm surprised he actually ended up making it in the end, and that's Willem Dafoe. I haven't seen At Eternity's Gate, but even from the trailer, it looks like he did an amazing job acting as Vincent Van Gogh in that movie. So I'm gonna check it out later, but I haven't checked it out yet, but he looked like he did a good job. But I'm definitely surprised he made it in the end. In terms of my snubs, I think the two snubs in this category were obviously John David Washington and Black Klansman, and Ethan Hawke in First Reformed. I've not seen First Reformed, but I've been hearing a lot of great reviews about Ethan Hawke's performance, so I thought I would kind of see him sneak in, especially because I feel like Ethan Hawke is a very beloved actor. John David Washington is a very not new actor, but he's still very kind of brand new in the eyes of mainstream America. So I'm kind of not surprised he didn't get in the end, but I was hoping he would. Not just because he's Denzel Washington's son, but just because I feel like as the central part and one of the central parts in Black Klansman, which is one of the most beloved movies of the year, I definitely thought that would propel him to get the nomination for Best Actor. Especially because his role really was the centerpiece of that movie, more so than Adam Driver's role. So I'm surprised he didn't get the nomination. I was pulling for him, but he didn't get it. In terms of people who are nominated, the nominees are Christian Bale, Bradley Cooper, Willem Dafoe, Rami Malek, and Viggo Mortensen. And I think the winner will be Rami Malek for Bohemian Rhapsody. I think Rami Malek's performance as Freddie Mercury was amazing. I think he did a great job. As someone who doesn't know much about Freddie Mercury, I think he did a great job of kind of educating me about his life and his personality and the way he just did things and looked at life and the way, you know, his whole being. I think Rami Malek really did a great job of tapping into Freddie Mercury's being. I think he did a great job. Christian Bale, I think, is in a close second position for me. Even though Vice to me wasn't that great of a film, I think Christian Bale did an amazing job as Dick Cheney. He did an amazing job, a really subdued and, you know, kind of understated performance, but I think he did an amazing job, a really quietly powerful performance. And even though I don't think he's going to win, I could definitely see a scenario, and I'm rooting for him, where Bradley Cooper kind of just comes in as the dark horse from vote splitting happening between Rami Malek and Christian Bale. I think a lot of people are kind of torn between Rami Malek and Christian Bale for the winner. So I think if enough votes are split between those two guys, I could see a scenario where Bradley Cooper kind of just comes in and takes Best Actor, especially because he was snubbed for Best Director. I can see a lot of people thinking, you know what, Bradley Cooper, he did do an amazing job in A Star Is Born. Let me give my vote to him in Best Actor, because, you know, we can't give him a vote in Best Director, so let me give it to him in Best Actor so he'll go home with something. And Rami Malek is still, you know, he still has time to grow and have more roles, and Christian Bale already has his Oscar, so let's give Bradley Cooper his first Oscar in this way. So I definitely think that could happen, and I'd love to see that happen, because I personally think Bradley Cooper had one of the best male lead performances of last year, besides Rami, but I think this is Rami's to lose. But let me know what y'all think about this category down below. Alright guys, now we're on to Best Actress. So for Best Actress, there were no surprises to me in this category, but in terms of the snubs were Emily Blunt and Toni Collette. Emily Blunt in Mary Poppins Returns. I still haven't seen Mary Poppins Returns yet, but I thought she would kind of get in off of the fanfare of the movie. But then again, the movie has been kind of quiet all over season 2, so I guess I wasn't that surprised. More so, I'd expect for her to show up in Best Supporting Actress, which I'll talk about in a little bit. And the other snub was Toni Collette in Hereditary. I also have not seen Hereditary yet, but I know I've heard a lot of good reviews about her performance, so I'm looking forward to seeing it whenever I do see it. it. But then again, the Oscars have a hard time, you know, really giving a lot of love to horror movies. So I'm not, you know, I guess that kind of factored in. But yeah, those are the main snubs. The lineup this year is Yalitza Aparicio in Roma, Glenn Close in The Wife, Olivia Colman in The Favorite, Lady Gaga in A Star Is Born, and Melissa McCarthy in Can You Ever Forgive Me. And I'm going with Glenn Close in The Wife for my winner this year. Even though, and I haven't seen The Wife, like I know none of y'all have either, so don't front. I haven't seen The Wife, whatever. But I don't give a fuck, because it's time for Glenn Close to win her damn Oscar. At the end of the day, I know the Oscars are not supposed to be about, you know, who's overdue, and it's supposed to be about the performance itself. But come on, Glenn Close is a whole motherfucking legend out here, like, and she has no Oscars still to this damn day. We need to give her an Oscar. This is the time for Glenn Close to just take it. Especially after her Golden Globe speech, that was amazing. It's her time. Give it to Glenn Close. It's going to Glenn Close. If for any reason anybody were to upset Glenn Close, I could see it being Olivia Colman, who I think did an amazing job as Queen Anne. And personally, I think in this lineup, I personally think Olivia Colman was probably one of my favorite performances in this category. I just think she did an amazing job as Queen Anne. She was so funny, yet so like vulnerable and heartbreaking and genuine, but like annoying too. Like she really was a really multi-layered and complex and really cool character to watch on screen. So I think she did an amazing job. I'm rooting for Olivia Colman, but I want Glenn Close to take this because she deserves it. And Olivia Colman has a whole future film career ahead of her, so she has plenty of time. So that's my thoughts on this category. But let me know what y'all think about it down below. Alright y'all, now we're on to Best Supporting Actor. So this is somewhat of a very dry category this year. There are no major surprises in this category, but I was very disappointed to see Sam Rockwell here, and that leads me to my snub. I think the major snub in this category that I'm still upset about, not only because I'm a fan of his, but also because he really did have an amazing performance, and that's Timothée Chalamet in Beautiful Boy. I think Sam Rockwell took Timothy's spot, and that's really sad because Sam Rockwell got an Oscar nomination for Eating Fried Chicken, while Timothée Chalamet portrayed a beautiful portrayal of a meth addict on screen in a beautiful and respectful way, and he was not nominated. I think that's hella disrespectful. Timothée Chalamet really performed so well in Beautiful Boy, and the fact that he was getting nominations all award season just to not get the Oscar nomination, I think was so fucked up. That's my opinion. Timothy was robbed in this category, but whatever. So the lineup this year is Mahershala Ali in Green Book, Adam Driver in Black Klansman, Sam Elliott in A Star Is Born, Richard E. Grant in Can You Ever Forgive Me, and Sam Rockwell in Vice. And my winner obviously is Mahershala Ali in Green Book. I love Mahershala Ali. I think he's one of our greatest actors right now living. I just think he's such an amazing guy, and he's such an amazing actor. And he really did an amazing job portraying Don Shirley in Green Book, especially with the somewhat weak script he was given. And even though the movie was kind of directed in a weak way, I think he made the best out of that movie, and I think he made the best out of what he was given. And I think his performance really elevated that movie to newer heights. I think he is I think he's definitely the best supporting actor in this category, and I think it's going to him. But then again, I can definitely see a situation where the Oscars don't want to give it to him, especially because he just won an Oscar 2 years ago with Moonlight. Even though I think that's kind of a whack reason to not want to give Mahershala Ali his second Oscar, I think he deserves it. But because of that, I could see a situation where they give the Oscar instead to either Richard E. Grant or Sam Elliott, to kind of give an Oscar to the veteran who's been here doing this thing for a long time and has not really been on the Oscar radar a lot, but deserves one. More so Richard E. Grant than Sam Elliott at this point, I think, because Richard Grant has been everywhere. And this performance was, I think, more impactful to me than Sam Elliott's. But I wanted to go to Mahershala Ali. I wanted to go to him because I think he had the best performance in this whole lineup. But we'll see what happens. I think this is a pretty locked category, but I could definitely see a situation, like I said, where they gave it to the overdue veteran, which could be either Richard E. Grant or Sam Elliott. Alright, y'all, now we're on to Best Supporting Actress, which I think is one of the weirdest and one of the craziest, but also kind of one of the most exciting categories this year. Also one of the most frustrating too. But in terms of surprises, I think the only major surprise, as we all know, was Marina de Tavira and Roma. But I did say in my last video that I predicted that she could land here with all the coalescing love for Roma, and she did. I predicted that she could land here, and she did. But in terms of surprises, I mean, in terms of snubs, I think the only snubs in this category were Claire Foy in First Man and Emily Blunt in A Quiet Place. I think those two ladies definitely deserved a slot, More so, I feel like honestly they're kind of equal. They're really equal. I would have loved to see either of them here, but this is somewhat of a tight category, so they didn't make it in the end. But for our lineup, we have Amy Adams in Vice, Marina de Tavira in Roma, Regina King in If Beale Street Could Talk, Emma Stone in The Favorite, and Rachel Weisz in The Favorite. So I am going with Regina King in this category. Shout out Queen Regina King, you are amazing, I love you. I think she's going to win this category. A lot of people have been kind of scratching their heads as to how she's going to be able to win without her BAFTA and SAG nomination. And while those are two nominations that are very critical when it comes to the Oscars, and it's very telling that she didn't get those nominations. At the end of the day, I don't think it'll stop her from winning the Oscar in the end. I think she's a very beloved actress for good reason. She's amazing and she's so humble and so talented, and she's been consistently working and delivering for years, decades even. So I think this is her time to finally just get her Oscar. I think this is her time, really. And even though this is a really weird category and a really weird year, I still think she'll pull it out. I think the one thing people are forgetting about Regina King is, even though she doesn't have the BAFTA and SAG nominations, people are forgetting, and I think there's been I've been sensing somewhat of a quiet outrage, myself included, that If Beale Street Could Talk didn't have more love in the award season and in the Oscar lineup this year. It wasn't nominated for Best Picture or Best Director. So I think because of that, I think people are gonna think of Regina King as kind of like the torchbearer for her movie. Whereas a lot of the other actresses in this category are a part of big movies that have way more nominations, that have way more clout around them. Regina King is in a smaller movie that didn't have as many nominations and didn't have as much conversation around it. So I think because of that reason, I think she'll be able to pull it out for her movie, as kind of like the representative for If Beale Street Could Talk, which would be cool to see. And I think it can go down like that, because I don't think If Beale Street Could Talk will take Best Adapted Screenplay, and there's a good chance it won't take Best Score. So the one place to award it is in Best Supporting Actress with Regina King. So I think it'll definitely happen that way. People are forgetting that she's carrying her movie, so I definitely think it'll carry her to the win. But let's see what happens. If Regina King does not win it, I could definitely see the second place either going to Rachel Weisz or Amy Adams. Especially after her BAFTA win, I think Rachel Weisz has the edge. But I also personally think that Amy Adams did an amazing job as Lynn Chaney in Vice, so I would like to see her take it. Especially because she's an overdue actress. But I also don't think the Oscars will make this night a night of, one overdue Oscar after the next. So I have pause on Amy Adams. I think she'll have to wait again another year. But because her and Rachel Weisz both did amazing jobs in their films, I think they are definitely tied as the dark horses and, in second place for this category. But I still think this is Regina's to lose. Alright, y'all, now we're on to Best Original Screenplay. So for this category, to me, there were no surprises, but the snubs to me were, even though this is a very tight category, the snub for me was 8th Grade. And even though I didn't see it making it in the end, I was also rooting for A Quiet Place. But more so, I feel like 8th Grade was a snub in this category. It freaking won WGA. So I'm kind of mad it didn't make it in the Oscar lineup. I think Bo Burnham did an amazing job writing that movie, and as one of my personal favorite movies of 2018, I think 8th Grade just did an amazing job exploring what it's like to be like a kid, what it's like to be a kid in America, and in 2018, 2019. So I think that movie was just amazing. And I think it definitely deserved a nomination here, but it didn't get it. That was a clear snub for me. But the lineup in Best Original Screenplay, we have The Favorite, First Reformed, Green Book, Roma, and Vice. And for my prediction, I'm going to be picking The Favorite in this category. I think The Favorite is definitely going to win this category. Like I said, even though The Favorite wasn't my favorite movie of the year, the one thing you cannot deny is that movie is a very witty and just clever and really interestingly wrote movie with a really crazy and really funny and weird, but also just interesting dialogue. So I think that's probably one of the better parts of the movie. I wasn't in love with I wasn't in love with the pacing and the tone of the movie, but I will give credit to a really interesting and really funny and off the wall, but weird and kind of forward-thinking script. So I definitely think it's gonna win Best Original Screenplay. If anybody were to challenge The Favorite, I could definitely see it being Green Book. I don't want that to happen because I feel like Green Book did have some flaws in the script. There were some great moments, especially Mahershala Ali's scene where he was like, if I'm not black enough and if I'm not white enough, then what am I? I think that was a great moment. But besides, those great moments, I think overall the script was somewhat flawed and could have been done a little bit better. So I don't want it to win, but if the favorite were to lose, I could definitely see it losing to Green Book. Alright y'all, now we're on to Best Adapted Screenplay. So in this category, I don't think there were any snubs, although I would have loved to see Black Panther make it in. But I'm not you know, too surprised that it didn't make it in, but I would have loved to see Black Panther in here. But to me, the major surprise in this category was The Ballad of Buster Scruggs. I've not watched that movie yet, mostly because it's long as fuck. It's on Netflix, but I haven't watched it yet. But I'm kind of surprised to see The Ballad of Buster Scruggs, not because it wasn't good, I haven't seen it, but more so because I feel like I didn't really hear anything about that movie until the Oscar nominations came out. I didn't really hear much about this movie, so I'm kind of surprised it made it in, especially over a movie like Black Panther. But it is what it is. So the lineup for this category is The Ballad of Buster Scruggs, Black Klansman, Can You Ever Forgive Me, If Beale Street Could Talk, and A Star Is Born. And my pick for this category is gonna be Black Klansman, clear out front, clear as day. I think Black Klansman is definitely one of the best screenplays in this lineup, and definitely one of the best screenplays of last year. And this is also the one place to award Spike Lee, deservedly so, especially because he won't be winning Best Director. So this is definitely where he'll pick up his Oscar that he has been deserved for a while now. And I think he should. Black Klansman is an amazing script. If Black Klansman were to lose for some reason, I could see it losing to If Beale Street Could Talk, which I will be happy about, because I think that's also another amazing script, another amazing movie in general. But I don't think it'll happen. I think this is definitely going to Black Klansman. And as much as I don't see it happening, I could also see a situation where for some reason A Star Is Born takes it, and I don't want it to, but I could see that happening in a really weird world if they want to give A Star Is Born a really big category, because it's probably not going to win any big categories besides maybe Best Actor. So if it doesn't win Best Actor, I can see them saying, you know, let's give it the Best Adapted Screenplay. Even though I think that would be a really corny choice, because it's, like I said, it's like the 4th remake of the film franchise. But I think it's straight out going to Black Klansman, as it should. Alright guys, now we're on to Best Animated Feature Film. I haven't seen any of these movies besides Incredibles 2. But I don't feel like there, from what I've heard, I don't feel like there are any, like, you know, major or clear snubs or surprises in this category. But the lineup this year is Incredibles 2, Isle of Dogs, Mirai, Ralph Breaks the Internet, and Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. I think the clear winner will be Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. I haven't seen that movie yet, but I'm so excited to see it whenever I can see it, because I've not seen it in the theaters yet. But it looks like an amazing animated film from this way it looks. I'm looking forward to seeing a Spider-Man movie that looks that way, that's also based on a black protagonist being Spider-Man. I think that's such a dope way to you know, evolve the character. So I'm just looking forward to seeing that movie, but I think it's the clear frontrunner. It's been picking up awards all season, so it's definitely gonna win here. So if any other movie took it besides Spider-Man, I'll be surprised as hell. But this is definitely going to Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Sorry, Incredibles 2. Even though I love that movie, sorry. So now we're on to Best Foreign Language Film. I've not seen any of the movies in this category besides Roma. I'm really looking forward to seeing Shoplifters, because I really want to see that movie. I've heard a lot about it. And also Capernaum too. But the lineup this year is Capernaum, Cold War, Never Look Away, Roma, and Shoplifters. And I think the winner in this category will clearly be Roma. But if for some reason a lot of people kind of avoid Roma because they know it'll probably have a great chance of winning Best Picture and also Best Director, I can see a lot of people going for Cold War, which has been somewhat of the second favorite in this category. I think Cold War, I don't think it'll take it in the end, but if it were to pull an upset, I could definitely see it happening too. If there were to be an upset in this category, I could definitely see it happening for Cold War. Alright, a quick disclaimer, I love documentaries, but I'm a very busy guy and I haven't seen any of the documentaries or the short films in the lineup this year, so I won't be talking about those categories. But let me know what your thoughts are. If you have watched the documentaries and short films nominated this year, let me know what your thoughts are on who should win and who you think will win come Oscar night. You can let me know down below. Now we're on to Best Original Score. So to me, the major surprises in this category this year were the inclusion of Black Klansman and Black Panther. I'm very happy those nominations came about, but I was very surprised by those nominations. I didn't think the Academy would have had these movies on their radar in terms of scores. And in terms of the snubs in this category, even though Justin Hurwitz already has an Oscar, I think, I forgot what movie it's for, maybe La La Land. I am surprised that he wasn't nominated in this category for First Man, because that was probably one of the most acclaimed scores that came out last year. So I'm very surprised he wasn't here. He was a front runner to win this category and he wasn't even here. So because he's not here, I think honestly I think there's a reason why it happened. I think they wanted to give room to some other films that were more like acclaimed this year than First Man. So I think this category will end up going to Black Panther. Shout out Ludwig Göransson. He's an amazing composer. Just won 3 Grammys for This Is America, Record and Song of the Year, and also for Best Score Soundtrack for Visual Media for Black Panther. Go check out my review on the Grammys if you haven't already. Go check that out. But yeah, Ludwig Göransson, the composer of Black Panther, he deserves it. I think the score for Black Panther was just so beautiful, so different. And it's just so exotic, just the African tribal drums, and just a really like a weird, I just think it's a really beautifully put together score that's really different, really stands out from the pack. So I think it'll win. I think it'll pull out the win. But if Black Panther doesn't win, I could definitely see this going to If Beale Street Could Talk, which had an amazing and beautiful classic score by Nicholas Britell. I think the score is one of the best parts of If Beale Street Could Talk. I think it's really what helps elevate the movie, because it can be somewhat slow, but I think what helps moving along is the beautiful music in the movie. If neither of those films win, I'll be happy to see Black Klansman take it. Shout out Terrence Blanchard, who's been working with Spike Lee a lot for many years in different movies. And if Terrence Blanchard were to win for Black Klansman, I think he'd be the first Black composer to win this category in like decades. So that would be dope to see. I would love to see it. And the music in Black Klansman, while it's probably not the most acclaimed or probably the most memorable part of the movie, I think the score in that movie is just so unique, and it really is like, I think the score and the music is so integral to how the movie, like, you know, moves along. And I think the music sets the mood for like every scene and how everything is set up. So I think the music is so integral to the film, and I think you know, it's an underrated part of the film, but I would love to see it get awarded in this category. But I think the winner will be Black Panther come Oscar night. Okay, now we're on Best Original Song. So for Best Original Song this year, the lineup is All the Stars from Black Panther, I'll Fight from RBG, The Place Where Lost Things Go from Mary Poppins Returns, Shallow from A Star Is Born, and When a Cowboy Trades His Spurs for Wings from The Ballad of Buster Scruggs. I don't think there were any major snubs in this category, but a surprise to me was the inclusion of the song from The Ballad of Buster Scruggs. That song kind of came out of nowhere for me, but shout out to all the songwriters and the movie itself. I think in terms of the winners, I'm predicting Shallow to win this category. I think this is a clear lock. I think it's been a lock from the start of award season. It won the Golden Globe. It's won everything it needed, in terms of precursors to win the Oscar. I think it's definitely gonna win come tomorrow night. But if anybody were to upset Shallow in winning Best Original Song, I could see it being All the Stars, which I would love to see. Even though All the Stars is probably not as integral to the Black Panther as Shallow is to A Star Is Born, I still think it's a really well-written and well-performed song by Kendrick Lamar and SZA and Anthony Tiffany. I think he wrote it, or was it Al Shucks? I can't remember. The other people who wrote and produced it. I think All the Stars is a great song, but I don't think it's gonna beat Shallow. But if a song were to beat Shallow, it will be that song. And also, quick note, I'm kind of mad that apparently Kendrick Lamar and SZA are not gonna perform All the Stars on Oscar night. I'm not sure if they're busy or if they're somewhere else that they can't be there, but I was really looking forward to seeing Kendrick Lamar and SZA grace the Oscar stage. For hip hop and R&B history, but I guess it's not gonna happen. So, but let me know what y'all think about that down below. Alright y'all, now we're on to the sound category. So first up, we have Best Sound Editing. The lineup for this year is Black Panther, Bohemian Rhapsody, First Man, A Quiet Place, and Roma. I was very surprised to see Roma here, but I'm happy he got the nomination. Shout out to Roma. To me, I feel like the winner in this category will be First Man. I know First Man is probably not going to pick up a lot of Oscars on Oscar night, and it wasn't nominated for Best Picture, but I think one of the clear places they can award it in the technical categories is in Best Sound Editing. You know, all the space scenes with where Neil Armstrong going to the moon and all that, like all the sound in that movie was just a really like well produced movie in terms of its sound and the way the sounds were edited and created for that movie. So I think it could definitely win here. If First Man were not to win Best Sound Editing, I could definitely see it going to A Quiet Place, which I would love to see. And it's kind of one of the most obvious like sound winners. It's a quiet movie about sound. So and I just think all the sounds that created in that movie for the monsters and all that stuff, I just think it was really cool. It was all a really cool sound. So I think it could definitely win sound editing. But I definitely think this will go to First Man. In terms of sound and best sound mixing, the lineup for this category is Black Panther, Bohemian Rhapsody, First Man, Roma, and A Star Is Born. So a lot of overlap with sound editing as usual. But for this category, I'm actually predicting Bohemian Rhapsody. I think Bohemian Rhapsody had amazing sound of the film, especially with all the concert scenes and the studio scenes in itself. So I think it could definitely win Best Sound Mixing. But if Bohemian Rhapsody were to not win, I could definitely see it going to A Star Is Born, which also to me had amazing sound, especially because I actually watched A Star Is Born in theaters and the sound was amazing. So I could definitely see it winning Best Sound Mixing. But I think it'll go to Bohemian Rhapsody. But let me know what y'all think about the sound categories down below. Okay, next up I want to talk about production design and costume design because I feel like they're very intertwined as they always are. First up, we're going to talk about Best Production Design. The lineup this year is Black Panther, The Favorite, First Man, Mary Poppins Returns, and Roma. I think the clear winner in this category will be The Favorite. Production design and costume design seem to be a two-way race between both categories. Seem to be a two-way race between Black Panther and The Favorite. Deservedly so. Both of them have amazing production design and costume design. But I think usually while they tend to go like for the same movie in these categories, I think it'll actually split this year. And I think in production design it'll go to The Favorite, as it should, because The Favorite, even though I think Black Panther's production design was amazing personally, I definitely think, you know, The Favorite is more in line with the traditional Oscar winner in production design. You know, it's a period piece, it's in a castle. You know, I think it'll win there. So I think The Favorite will win in Best Production Design, but I wouldn't sleep on Black Panther in this category as well. Definitely wouldn't sleep on it. In Best Costume Design, the lineup is The Ballad of Buster Scruggs, Black Panther, The Favorite, Mary Poppins Returns, and Mary Queen of Scots. A lot of big costume movies in this category. I'm not gonna say this is somewhat of a, well, it kind of was a surprise. I was kind of surprised to see The Ballad of Buster Scruggs here again. I haven't seen a movie, but it looks like it's just a typical Western movie, and nothing really stood out to me in terms of the costuming in that movie. So I'm kind of surprised it got a nomination here, but it's cool. To me, I think the winner in this category will be Black Panther, as it should be. Shout out to Ruth E. Carter. I think she should be the winner of this category. I think flat out she should be the winner. Even though The Favorite, to me, is second in line. And even though The Favorite, I think, had great costuming, you know, it's a period piece. It's about, you know, it's like 17th century England, you know. But I think it's somewhat of a been there, done that already with The Favorite in terms of its costuming. The Oscars has been there, done that plenty of times, back to back to back. I think it's time for a movie that has such beautiful and different and you know, just amazing, beautifully colored and layered and just exotic costuming, like the costumings that we see in Black Panther. I think the costuming is one of the best parts of Black Panther, and it really brings the movie to life. From the simple costumes to the most exotic costumes, like it really is. Everything was so thought out and executed well on behalf of Ruth E. Carter's part. So I think she definitely deserves the Oscar. I think she should be one of the torchbearers for Black Panther. I don't think Black Panther is going to pick up a lot of Oscars, so I think costume design is one of the best places to award it securely. I can see The Favorite taking this category as well, but I don't think it should. I think Ruth E. Carter deserves this, and she should definitely win for Black Panther. All right, y'all. Next up, we have Best Cinematography. So the lineup for this year in Best Cinematography is Cold War, The Favorite, Never Look Away, Roma, and A Star Is Born. So to me, I don't think there were any clear surprises in this category, but I think there were some clear snubs, or not clear snubs, but I think there were some personal snubs in my opinion. The snubs in cinematography to me were Rachel Morrison for Black Panther. I think she did a great job. I think she's a great cinematographer who's been doing a lot of great work. I think she did a cinematography for, I want to say, Moonlight, and I know she did it for Mudbound. So I think she definitely should have got some love here, but she didn't get it. And I also think James Laxton was snubbed for his cinematography in If Beale Street Could Talk. I think the camera work and the lighting and just the cinematography in If Beale Street Could Talk was beautiful, and I think it should have been recognized. I think it was one of the best parts of that movie, but you know, it is what it is. But to me, those are the two snubs in this category. But in terms of the winners, I think the clear winner in this category will be Roma. I think Alfonso Cuarón's cinematography, his camera work, the lighting choices, it was all done beautifully, and it was so well done, and it really was done masterfully, and it was a master work in his craft. I think Alfonso Cuarón is a genius movie maker, and I just think he really showed out on Roma. So I definitely think he should and he will get awarded here for his cinematography in that film. If there were to be anybody that would upset him, I could see it being maybe Cold War, as somewhat of a consolation prize for it not being able to win in Best Director and in Best Foreign Film. You know, Cold War has kind of been in the shadow of Roma all award season in terms of like a foreign film that's kind of making waves, you know, in the Oscar conversation. So it's been the shadow of Roma all award season, but I could see a scenario where it takes cinematography as somewhat of a consolation prize for not being able to win anything else because of Roma, but I don't think that'll happen. I still think this will definitely go to Alfonso Cuarón for Roma. Alright, so now on to Best Makeup and Hairstyling. So the lineup this year in this category is Border, Mary Queen of Scots, and Vice. 2 notes about this category. I don't understand why they don't make this category 5 nominations. They always make it 3. I don't understand why they don't make it 5. I feel like they can easily make it 5 categories, especially with all the movies this year, you know, that are being released in these modern times that always have so much makeup and hairstyling in them. I don't understand why this category is always only 3 nominations as opposed to the usual 5. But whatever. And to me, I feel like the clear snub in this category was Black Panther. I definitely think the makeup and hairstyling in Black Panther was so amazing, and it should have gotten some love in this category. But whatever. And there were a lot of clear snubs for Black Panther across the board. But it ended up getting a nomination for Best Picture, but it wasn't even nominated for a lot of the clear below the line categories it should have got some love for. So I smell some BS, but whatever. I think the clear winner in this category will be Vice. Clearly, I think the transformation of Christian Bale into Dick Cheney and Amy Adams into Lynn Cheney, and just like, you know, all the other characters. I just think overall the makeup and hairstyling of Vice was probably the best in this category, and just definitely one of the best parts of Vice. I think the clear winner in this category is obviously Vice. Alright, y'all, next up we got Best Film Editing. So this is probably one of the most unpredictable and probably one of the most wide open categories this year. It's a really weird category. I think, to me, the clear snubs in this category were Roma, First Man, and A Star Is Born. I definitely expected to see those 3 films in Best Film Editing. I'm surprised they weren't. But yet they nominated Green Book, which I was like, Green Book, I think the editing in Green Book is nothing to nominate at all. It's not that fancy of editing. The editing didn't really help the movie. I don't really understand why the editing was given some love, but the editing for Roma and First Man were given some love. I didn't get that. So this is a really weird category. Some of the frontrunners in this category are not even nominated, so it's kind of weird. But I think the winner in this category will be Vice. I just think Vice is probably the most, it's the most edited, and it's probably the most showy editing in this entire lineup. So I think it'll definitely win just because it's the most showy editing, and compared to all the movies in this category. But I don't think it's necessarily a lock at all. I don't think it's a lock. I definitely think it's going to Vice, but I don't think it's a lock. If Vice were to lose to any film, I could see it possibly losing to BlacKkKlansman. I know Spike Lee has been giving a lot of love in interviews to Terrence Blanchard, the composer, and also Barry Alexander Brown, the editor of the movie. And I have to say, I think the editing in BlacKkKlansman is probably one of the most intriguing parts of the movie. The way it's edited, it's just really done well, and I think it really elevates the movie the way it's edited. So I think it definitely deserves the win in this category. It would definitely deserve the win, and it will be a great win for me. In my opinion, I think it will be a great win, but I don't think it'll happen because Vice is here. So I think Vice is too obvious of a movie to overcome for a movie like BlacKkKlansman, but I hope it could. Some other dark horses, even though I don't think they'll happen, are Bohemian Rhapsody and The Favorite. But I still think this is Vice's category to lose. But out of BlacKkKlansman, Bohemian Rhapsody, The Favorite, Green Book, and Vice, let me know what y'all think about who will take Best Film Editing. Alright, now on to the last category. We're on to Best Visual Effects. So this is also somewhat of a weird category this year because of a clear snub and a clear surprise. The surprise to me was Christopher Robin. I feel like I've heard nothing about that movie, and I'm surprised it really came in here at the last minute out of nowhere. So Christopher Robin, I feel like that nomination is somewhat, I'm not gonna say like unwarranted, but I'm just very surprised by it. I'm surprised it's here. Over to me, which was the clearest snub in this category, and that's Black Panther again. Another snub in a below the line category for Black Panther this year. I definitely thought Black Panther should have been, it didn't have to win, but I definitely thought it was gonna be a shoo-in for a nomination for Best Visual Effects, but it didn't happen. So that was a clear snub to me. But in terms of the lineup this year, we have Avengers Infinity War, Christopher Robin, First Man, Ready Player One, and Solo: A Star Wars Story. I think the winner in this category funny enough in itself, will be the other Marvel movie, which is Avengers Infinity War. I think Avengers Infinity War will take this because it's probably the most showy visual effects and probably just one of the most like visual effects heavy movies in this category, and I think it definitely deserves the win. But if anybody were to overtake Avengers, I could see an upset by First Man. Like I said before when I was talking about best sound editing, I feel like they want to give First Man something in the technical category, especially because it wasn't nominated for Best Picture, and because it was really like it was really well made film, even though emotionally it wasn't that, a lot of people didn't connect to it, but in terms of technically it was a really technically well made film. So I could see best visual effects being somewhere where they definitely give First Man an Oscar. So I think it could definitely happen, but I don't think it'll beat out Avengers Infinity War. I also could see Ready Player One having a shot at this category as well, but I don't think any of these movies will overtake the power of Avengers Infinity War. But let me know what y'all think about this category down below. Okay, now I'm just gonna end off the video talking about some random thoughts around, you know, surprises with the nominations and also just some achievements that were made with the nominations this year. So first up, talk about some surprises in general. I was very surprised by all the love for the Ballad of Buster Scruggs. I haven't seen the movie, but I haven't really heard a lot about it, but it got nominated for 3 Oscars, Best Adapted Screenplay, Best Original Song, and Best Costume Design. So I was very surprised by those, but shout out to that movie. I also was very surprised by, I'm not gonna say I was surprised, but I think The Favorite got a lot more love than I thought it would in terms of nominations. It's the most nominated film this year with Roma, who I think has 10 nominations, and I was kind of surprised, but I didn't think it would get that many, but literally The Favorite got every nomination that it could get. So, you know, obviously The Favorite is somewhat of the favorite this year. I don't think it'll win Best Picture, but I could definitely not be surprised if it did, because like I said, it has a nomination everywhere it could get one. So there's a lot of love for this movie this year. But I was kind of surprised by that because I didn't really connect with the movie that much. I didn't think it was that great, but a lot of people really loved the movie. So, you know. Also, I was also somewhat surprised by Roma's showing as well. While I think Roma is one of the best films I think I've ever like low-key, like I think it's an amazing film, I didn't think it was gonna get as many nominations as it did, because I know there's a lot of backlash against some of the aspects of the movie, you know, the Netflix factor, the black and white and foreign language factor. So because of those factors against it, I didn't think it would pull out, you know, 10 nominations, but it did. It's the most nominated film with The Favorite as well. So I was very surprised by Roma's showing, but very happy for Roma's showing. Especially, you know, especially random categories like sound, like best sound editing. I was very surprised by that, but you know, shout out to Roma. And also, the other major surprise to me is that there are not a lot of major nominations for a lot of the proposed Best Picture frontrunners. So movies like Roma doesn't have any editing. It doesn't have an editing nomination. Green Book doesn't have a director nomination. And A Star Is Born doesn't have a director or editing nominations. So a lot of the clear frontrunners in terms of Best Picture don't have a major nomination that they usually need to be able to win Best Picture. So like this is a very odd year in general. And I think this you know points to how odd of a year it is, that some of the some of the most frontrunner movies of the year are not even up for a major nomination that they should have. So I think really a lot of these categories are wide open because of that, and especially Best Picture in itself is a very wide open category. But we'll see what happens when the Oscars air tomorrow. Lastly, in terms of achievements, I just want to highlight Black Panther being nominated for Best Picture meant it was the first superhero film to get a Best Picture nomination. I know a lot of y'all are upset about it. I don't really understand why. Black Panther, I can understand why some people thought it wasn't really the most original or wasn't the most forward-thinking Marvel movie, and I get that. I'm cool with that argument, but at the same time, I just think Black Panther was such an enjoyable movie, and I think from a cultural and just like from a moment standpoint, like from the fact that it was such a cultural zeitgeist in 2018, I definitely have no problem with it being nominated for Best Picture, and I think it deserves a nomination. I think, in my opinion, the movies that I'm kind of mad got Best Picture nominations, like I said before, are Vice and Bohemian Rhapsody. I think to me those are worse Best Picture nominations than Black Panther. So I don't. If you don't think Black Panther should got nominated, I get it, but I think you should be looking at Bohemian Rhapsody and Vice before you look at Black Panther. That's my opinion. But yeah, man, it's the first superhero movie to get nominated. The Dark Knight should have been nominated. It should have been. I totally agree with that, but it didn't. So what can we do? The Black Panther has not been the first superhero movie to get that nomination. So shout out to Black Panther. I also want to talk about the power of Netflix. Netflix has had a strong showing this year with nominations for Roma and The Ballad of Buster Scruggs. Shout out to Netflix. I think in all that's 13 nominations for those 2 movies, so shout out to Netflix. You really did it. You really did your thing this year. I think Netflix only had like 1 nomination last year, which was for Mudbound, for Mary J. Blige, I think. So this year has 13 nominations. So shout out to Netflix. You're doing this thing. Alfonso Cuarón is nominated 5 times this year. 5 times. Imagine being nominated for 5 Oscars in 1 year. Best Picture, Best Director, Best Original Screenplay, Best Cinematography, and Best Foreign Language Film. He's nominated for 5 damn Oscars this year. So shout out to Alfonso Cuarón. You are the king of this year, straight up. Also, in terms of multiple nominations, Spike Lee and Bradley Cooper also got 3 nominations this year. Spike Lee for Best Picture, Best Director, and Best Adapted Screenplay, and Bradley Cooper for Best Picture, Best Actor, and Best Adapted Screenplay. So, shout out to those guys for the 3 nominations. Hannah Beachler is the first black nominee for Best Production Design for Black Panther. So that is so amazing to see. I'm happy for her. I'm rooting for her. I think she definitely has a shot. I don't think she'll win, but I think she has a shot. But the favorite is here. But Hannah Beachler, shout out to you on your monumental achievement, and I'm very excited for you. Congrats. And lastly, I want to talk about Yalitza Aparicio, who is now the 2nd Mexican nominee for an Oscar, and also the 2nd Mexican woman after Salma Hayek to be nominated for an acting Oscar. So I just want to shout out to her. Shout out Yalitza. I think she did an amazing job in Roma. Her whole role was so genuine and so heartfelt and just so natural. So shout out to Yalitza Aparicio. I think she did an amazing job in Roma, and it's an amazing achievement to be the 2nd Mexican actress nominated for an acting Oscar after Salma Hayek. So that's amazing. Alright, y'all, so those are my picks and predictions for the 2019 Oscars before they air tomorrow, and I also gave you guys my thoughts on all the nominations this year. But now let me know what you think about the Oscars this year. Let me know about who you're rooting for, about who you think will win Oscars tomorrow, and if you watch this video after the Oscars air, let me know what you thought about the show and about who won, about who surprised you, about who you were rooting for. Just let me know all your thoughts about the show down below, okay? I appreciate y'all. And if you haven't already, hit this video with a like. If you watched the video and you enjoyed it, hit that like button right now. Share this video and subscribe to my channel, okay? I appreciate y'all. And like I always say, live your best life, drink more water, stay woke, and if you're mad or sad, go listen to your favorite song to make you feel better, okay? Go listen to your favorite song. But this has been your boy Brights, the R&B Kid. Thank you for watching. But for now, I'm signing off, baby. Bye, y'all.
I came to vibe, you came to function, just do that, baby. Don't worry about nothing, no, 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 no. I came to vibe, you came to function, just do that, baby. Don't worry about nothing, no, no, no. Relax just a little bit. You don't gotta worry, you can just have fun. If you gotta drink.